we're already a little into skill development, which is great, and mentorship. Is there any more stories that you can share based on those couple things, like some things that you guys used to work on, especially even at Boston University, being such a prestigious school in the NCAA hockey?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. There's there's too many, honestly. I can go back to RIT though. Like
Okay.
I would read books like crazy. I always read mental performance coaching books because like it was expensive. It was hard to get those resources. And like I also didn't really know what I was looking for. I was like, do I need a sports psychologist? Because like I had dealt with mental health and all of that along the way. And um, I'd always talk to a therapist, but like if they don't play the sport, they don't get the sport. Or if they're not around sports, they don't understand like, okay, well, you're having a bad game, but like that's just a bad game. What about everything else that's going on in your life? And so like you kind of have to think about it all kind of plays together. Like what's affecting you outside is going to affect you inside. And so you have to kind of tame both of them at the same time. Um, and I think at BU, it was super helpful to have, there was this thing called Leadership Academy, and I'm super big into reading those. Like I love leadership books. I don't know why. I'm just a huge nerd about it. And the Leadership Academy basically develops the athletes at BU, and they go through like a program. So like each year is a new program, a new stepping stone for them. So when I first started, I was like, hey coach, like, do you think you could give me a recommendation to be put in that? Like I think it would be beneficial for me. And so like he got me in there my junior year, which is like I was in there with like sophomores and freshmen, but like I was okay with that. Like everyone thought I was a freshman anyways because nobody knew who I was. And so they were teaching you about like how to lead yourself and like how to understand yourself. And then you're taught the second year how to lead others, and then the third year you're taught like how to lead organizations and everything like that. But like you go in and like you talk about problems that you're having with your team, or problems that like, hey, maybe like this player isn't doing too hot. Like, how do I talk to them and build them up? And so I really love that program at BU, and I think they were doing a great job, and like they're still developing it. And then I also had a mentor at Boston University, and her name was Dr. Nichols. She is now at UC Berkeley, but when she was the leadership development lady there, she would always sit down with me. Like she always had like an open door policy. I could just go knock on her door and like I could walk in, talk about anything that was going on with my life or like how I want to improve the team. And we utilized that my senior year when there was 3 of us captains, and we were like, okay, we won 14 games this year. That's kind of unacceptable for a team that's high caliber and should be a top 10 team. And so we sat down with her starting in spring before our senior year, and she led us through like how to be better leaders, how to cultivate the culture that we wanted. And so that year we had an outstanding season up until the end. Won over 20 games for the first time in a few years. And then we won the Bean Pot for the first time in 40, well, I think it was 38 years. They never won at the varsity level, even with like Poulin. I'm sure you know her, captain of, Team Canada. And so I think her sitting down with us and like teaching us how to build everyone else up like on the team, because even if you don't have a C, like you're a leader, somebody looks up to you, even, whether that's somebody on the team, somebody outside the program, or like little kids that are watching the game. Like you have to learn how to teach everyone to be a leader, because like even once you get into the real world, people look at you and they're like, oh, you played an NCAA sport for 4 years. That means you must be a leader. Like you had that experience, you have that teamwork, and like it's very valuable to employers. But just like in that time, her guiding us was probably the most beneficial thing we could ever done. I think we're all better people because like we sat down with her, because she taught us her ways, and now she's helping more student athletes. And like I still keep in touch with her because now I feel like she's like my life mentor. And she's kind of like an older sister. But I think it's super important to have those people there that can help teach you what they went through already.
Yeah, agreed. As you know, in my hockey journey too, you have those mentors for sure. Those that care, and then especially the players around you. I think it's whether it be a brotherhood or sisterhood, I think it's really important to help each other out. As much as everyone wants to get that spot, whether it be in college or pro hockey or in the NHL, it's very competitive. But outside of that, it's really important. And it's incredible to hear these success stories from you. Both with your teams, a great culture, and your team's doing well, but also off the ice of how a team should be.
Mm-hmm.
You should be really tight knit, really close, support each other, and throughout my journey, it's been hit or miss. I think a lot of these coaches, it's a little bit of the old school way where they say it's an open door policy, but really they're kind of intimidating and using their power to kind of avoid, I guess, people coming in. Obviously, if you have a big
Yeah.
most of the time when you have a big problem, they will listen to you and talk to you. I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
they can help. They probably use their resources to help you, but I think these coaches, it's changing now, which is for the better and really good for individuals, but also players,
Mm-hmm.
that they can help um, just listen to everyone on what's going on in the world and like the problems that people are having. Because I think the old school way on that side, I like the balance of old school of work ethic and how to do
Mm-hmm.
things, but based on the outside of hockey stuff, it's really important that these coaches learn to listen better and actually care more. Some of these coaches are just, they'll listen to you, and then I've had coaches that will use some things against you, like you're like, oh, he's not ready for the game, so we're not putting him in the lineup, or like he's gonna
Yeah.
line, right? They just use it against you, and to a point, I see they think maybe you're not ready, but I think there's other ways to handle and deal that stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, I'd say there's quite a few athletes and players that are going through things that are doing really well. They're playing really well. I mean,
Yeah.
at all levels, NHL, AHL, pros, and college junior, everyone's going through something, it seems, and there's
Mm-hmm.
people that do really well. So I don't think that's just the case to put someone on the fourth line or scratch them or not play them kind of thing. I think there's
Yeah.
always a better way of doing it. But hopefully that continues to improve throughout the
Mm-hmm.
whole hockey community. It's really important.
Yeah.
Do you want to share some stories of your college or pro days? Whether it be travel, some of these young kids look up to, I guess your commitment at a young age. You got to travel to Pittsburgh and you mentioned
Yeah.
Arkansas, St. Louis, all these different places at such a young age that you are already getting out of your little bubble in
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi, and essentially you got to see the US, the country, and eventually you got to see probably North America, and then as you mentioned, you're recently in Budapest, like you're going to see the
Mm-hmm.
world, right? That's like a part of the whole hockey journey, and what I think a lot of people that have done it really push. It's like, yeah, keep playing, you can go anywhere. some
Mm-hmm.
some kids are playing fourth league, fifth league, but they're getting a trip paid for by their team. They
Yeah.
don't make a lot of salary, but you're seeing the world at 20 to 25, 30 years old, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's such a, I guess, life experience, other than not making the NHL, which is their dream, but
Yeah.
it's not bad. Do you have any stories?
Oh, too many stories. Um, well, for one, I'll go back to playing in Pittsburgh. So we always had a Thanksgiving tournament. And I know this is just like a little random road trip story, whatever, but like every single Thanksgiving that we played for Pittsburgh Penguins Elite, we spent driving up to that tournament, and we would stop at either like KFC, McDonald's, or like something random. And like that was our Thanksgiving dinner. We're like, all right, like this is good enough, I guess. But like it's just like those little funny moments like that. And like we, right before our games, so we would stay with some of the families, like they were kind enough to let us stay at their homes, and we would have chocolate chip pancakes before our games. Like the Trice's pancakes were the best. And if you brought on my best friend Kyla, she would say the same exact thing. She was like, yes, we lived for those on the weekend. We're like, are you gonna make the pancakes? She's like, yes, of course we got the pancakes. And then this one time at prep school, I forget, like, I think flying was way too expensive to bring the whole team. So we took a 24-hour bus trip in 10th grade to, I think it was here in Minnesota. And like our bus got stuck on the side of the road, and then we were just like singing songs and we were playing games and like all this stuff. And I think the road trip memories, like, of course we tried to do schoolwork on the bus, but like you can't do schoolwork on the bus. You just gotta hang out with everyone. And like, I feel like those are the best bonding moments that I ever had, was on the bus or in the car or just driving somewhere. Another one would be, we took this super fun trip. My junior year at Boston University, we went to Washington, DC, and we played in like this tournament over Thanksgiving break. And we just like got to go run around Washington, DC during Thanksgiving break, no homework, no exams to study for. And it was just like, we got to be for a second. And we played, Northeastern was there. We didn't play them. We were there. Mankato was there and Wisconsin was there. So we beat Mankato our first night. And that was super cool because like my family got to come up. We got to go to a nice dinner. It was like a $50 plate of like all Thanksgiving food, and everyone was just like having a good time. What else did we do? We went to museums together. I think we rented like some scooters and just scooted around. Got to go see the memorials, all of them. And then we lost to Wisconsin, but it was like such a close game. We ended up losing like 4-2, but one of them was open net, so we won't count that. And then what else? Like there's so many little ones too, where this was my junior year again, and we were in Maine for our first round of playoffs, and we were going into our third game, like we rallied back, and right as we were leaving the hotel, all of a sudden we started hearing like band music playing. We're like, what's that? And the BU band had showed up to surprise us, which was like a 5-hour drive. And we were like, this is insane. Like, you guys came all the way up just for us. And like, yeah, you guys are like one of our favorite teams. And so they played at our game. And I think it's like, I'm super close to the BU band. Like I still do Zoom calls with them and like I watch games with them, but meeting like those people and people that supported you throughout your career, and like playing at BU would not have been the same without that BU band always in the stands, always supporting us, always cheering and chirping the other teams. Like just super grateful to have that experience. I don't know, I can keep going.
Yeah, no, this is all great. I think maybe also too is, just some stories about just learning about your childhood days and into who you are today, kind of adult life, for these kids. I think that's something that they can take away from watching the podcast.
Mm-hmm.